The sun dipped low over the horizon, casting long shadows across the silent runway. A sleek private jet stood motionless, its door ajar, its engine exposed like a wounded beast. Beside it, a black mechanic in his 50s knelt quietly, his hands blackened with oil, his face lined with age and perseverance. Sweat glistened on his brow as he studied the engine's tangle of wires and steel, his focus unwavering. Behind him, several yards away, stood the jet's owner, a sharp, elegant woman in a tailored business suit, arms crossed, lips pressed tight with impatience. A billionaire with meetings to catch, empires to run. She looked at him with barely concealed skepticism. To her, he was just another delay, another problem. But to him, this was more than just a job. This was dignity, purpose. Each bolt he turned, each wire he tested, wasn't just about fixing a machine, it was a lifetime of learning, of rising from places most people forget exist. The world around them was quiet, save for the faint whir of distant planes taking off. He was alone, yet not alone. Years of experience moved through his fingers as he worked with quiet determination. No one applauded. No cameras rolled. Just a man, an engine, and a moment that mattered. The woman checked her watch again. But something in the way he moved, calm, exact, respectful, gave her pause. She didn't realize it yet, but something deeper than metal was being restored on that runway. He wasn't fixing a jet. He was holding together a moment of trust, of silent grit. Between her world of wealth and his world of work, he was the bridge, one built not of money, but of character. She stood tall and composed, her arms folded tightly across her chest, designer sunglasses hiding eyes filled with doubt. Behind her, two assistants murmured under their breath, glancing at the mechanic with subtle sneers. A security guard shifted uncomfortably, eyeing the man kneeling beside the aircraft. To them, he didn't look the part, his jumpsuit was faded, his hands black with grease, and his face worn with years of labor. He was out of place in this world of tailored suits and luxury jets. Just a mechanic. Just another worker. But he didn't hear their whispers. Or maybe he chose not to. With quiet precision, he inspected every inch of the engine, his fingers moving like a surgeon's, steady, knowing. The world around him faded into background noise. He wasn't intimidated by their status, their titles, or their judgment. He wasn't here for recognition. He was here to fix what was broken. To them, he was invisible. But to him, the machine spoke a language he understood deeply. Each creak, each spark, each stubborn bolt told a story. He didn't need approval. He had purpose. The billionaire glanced down again, frustrated, tapping her heel against the tarmac. But something about his calm demeanor unsettled her impatience. He wasn't rushed. He wasn't afraid. He worked like a man who had fixed more than just engines, like someone who had held together entire lives. They judged him for his appearance. He judged only the problem before him. While they measured worth in wealth and watches, he measured it in effort and care. And in that moment, beneath all their assumptions, something quiet and powerful was at work, not just in the engine, but in the space between judgment and understanding. The rhythmic click of the wrench echoed through time, pulling him back to where it all began. He was just a boy then, barefoot, sitting cross-legged on the cracked concrete outside a modest home, the rusted frame of a broken bicycle resting in his lap. His small fingers worked with fierce determination, lips pursed, eyes narrowed, completely absorbed in the challenge. Nearby, his mother stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, a tired smile on her face. She didn't have much to give, but she had pride. And in that moment, watching her son bring life back to that broken bike, she saw more than just a fix. She saw his future. Years later, rain pounded the street like war drums. He was no longer a boy, but a teenager sprinting through the storm toward an elderly neighbor's flooded porch. With soaked clothes clinging to his skin, he knelt to patch a busted pipe, hands trembling but steady. No one asked him. No one paid him. He saw someone in need and answered with action, not words. It wasn't about tools, it was about heart. Back on the runway, present day, he tightened a bolt, his hands moving with the same care they had in every chapter of his life. Each repair he made wasn't just mechanical, it was a continuation of something much deeper, a lifelong mission to mend what others left broken. He wasn't just fixing engines. He was restoring dignity, honoring promises, carrying the quiet legacy of every moment he chose kindness over convenience. His journey wasn't written in textbooks or resumes, it was written in rusted chains, stormy nights, and small victories that no one saw, except those whose lives were forever changed by them. A sharp click echoed from deep within the engine, something didn't feel right. The mechanic froze, his hand hovering mid-air. His eyes scanned the intricate web of components until he spotted it, a hidden crack, barely visible but dangerously critical. His heart sank. Time was slipping away, and this discovery meant starting over, reworking the very core of the system. Behind him, the woman noticed the sudden stillness and took a cautious step forward. Her impatient gaze softened, if only slightly. He leaned back on his heels, breathing hard, sweat and grime tracing lines down his face. For a brief second, doubt crept in. Maybe this was too much. Maybe he couldn't fix it this time. No one would blame him. No one, except the boy who once fixed a broken bike with nothing but willpower. And a mother's hope resting on his shoulders. Silently, he closed his eyes. A whispered prayer slipped from his lips, not asking for success, but for strength. Strength to try one more time. To not give up, not now. With renewed focus, he reached for his tools, hands steady. Each motion was deliberate, almost reverent. Time didn't matter anymore. What mattered was doing it right. What mattered were the people who depended on him, past, present, and unseen. The final bolt clicked into place. He exhaled, not in relief, but in quiet triumph. Not because he would be thanked. Not because she would understand. But because he knew this moment would carry forward, like every other small act of integrity he had built his life on. He didn't do it for recognition. He did it because he remembered who he was, and why he started. Not for money, but for people. The roar of the jet engines filled the sky as the aircraft lifted gracefully from the runway, soaring into the golden light of dusk. The mechanic stood still, his hands at his sides, watching it disappear into the clouds. There was no applause, no announcement, just the quiet satisfaction that he had done his part. Behind him, the wind stirred gently, carrying the scent of fuel, steel, and something softer. Peace. A sleek luxury car rolled onto the tarmac moments later. The window lowered slowly, and the woman, no longer the polished figure of impatience, sat inside, her eyes glassy with something she hadn't expected to feel. Gratitude. She didn't say much. Just reached out and handed him a folded note, her hand trembling slightly as their eyes met. Then, without a word, she drove off. He unfolded the note with rough, stained fingers. The handwriting was elegant, but the message was simple. You reminded me what heart looks like. He blinked, the words sinking in deeper than any thank you ever had. Not because of who she was, but because of what it meant. In a world that often forgets the quiet ones, the laborers, the givers, she had seen him. And he had reminded her of something she thought she'd lost. Sometimes, it's not the wealth, the status, or the title that moves the world forward. It's the quiet work done in the background. The steady hands. The patient hearts. The people who show up, again and again, for others. Because sometimes, the strongest engines are powered by heart. And the most broken wings, just need someone who believes. This story is more than a tale of a mechanic fixing a broken jet, it's a reflection of the power of quiet strength, of integrity in the face of judgment, and of how small, unseen acts of dedication can change hearts in unexpected ways. From the moment the mechanic stepped onto the runway, he was dismissed, underestimated, and judged by his appearance. But through every turn of his wrench and every choice to keep going despite doubt, he revealed something far more valuable than skill. He revealed character. The billionaire came looking for a solution, but what she found was a lesson, that greatness doesn't always wear a suit, and true worth isn't always loud. Sometimes, the most powerful people are the ones working in silence, guided by purpose, not praise. Through a simple act of service, a man with stained hands and a pure heart reminded her, and all of us, that belief, compassion, and perseverance can restore more than broken machines. They can restore hope. In a world rushing to get ahead, it's those who slow down, show up, and give their best, without needing applause, who truly lift us all.